I'm Justin Rowe-Roberts of Biz News, and with me today is CEO of Adapt IT, Tiffany Dunsdon. Tiffany, there's so much to talk about, much more so than an average Adapt IT results day. Whilst doing research for this interview, I was very interested to find out that you merged InfoWave Holdings with Sabu's Adapt IT back in 2007 to co-found the company we know today. Despite that being over a decade ago, could you give us some background?
I can, Justin. Thank you. Yes, that is accurate. I was the CEO of InfoWave Holdings at the time, and I had been for several years. I'd been with InfoWave since 1999. And in fact, Spoo was previously with InfoWave many moons ago. He started his business in 2003, and I was involved in that on his board for a couple of years as an enterprise development initiative. He grew very successfully. And we then conceived of the idea to merge the businesses in the end of 2007.
I guess given all the corporate action with Volaris and Huge, there's been less scrutiny on these numbers than what you were used to. But what are your general comments on the results?
I think that, the climate was very difficult for the whole period of 12 months as compared with, three months of COVID in the previous financial results. So it was a protracted period of uncertainty and difficult trading conditions, particularly hitting a couple of our verticals, predominantly the hospitality sector and the sectors that have a high proportion of project work, like our energy sector. Clients would naturally be deferring projects in a time of uncertainty, particularly in the oil and gas sector. So we did see a slowdown there. On the flip side, though, we have a very diversified business and a high degree of annuity income because, mostly we provide mission critical software to our clients. So irrespective of the trading conditions, they need to use our software in their businesses. So our annuity income went up to 66% from 62% because the mix of revenue changed to have more of the underlying work and less of a project ratio of revenue in the period. So I think we maintained our margins quite well. We were quite defensive in terms of protecting, looking for cost efficiencies. We did have some small downsizing exercises in a couple of the businesses where the contraction in demand was going to be for the longer term. And we have managed to be quite defensive on the margin side of things. So I think all in all, against that backdrop of a very difficult trading period, sound results.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the Volaris offer, I've seen today that Huge Group has sold its 1.9% stake in Adapt IT. I spoke to Sabu on a few occasions in studio earlier this year. It seemed by all accounts that him and the rest of the management team were viciously against James Herbst-led Huge Group taking control. What were the reasons for that?
Well, I think it was an unsolicited offer, which is often characterized as hostile in the media. And I guess, there was no real meeting of the minds or engagement with Huge leadership. I, for one, have never spoken to or met with any Huge leaders. So I think that, if one wants to put a business combination together, you have to, you really do have to engage and connect with the people. I would say that's probably, the failing in the strategy there. Having said that, we did not view the strategic potential synergies in the same way that the Huge Group did, and therefore, we don't perceive that the Adapt IT Group has lost anything from a strategic perspective with regards to the Huge offer.
The Volaris offer all seems but a foregone conclusion, an all-cash offer at R7 a share, ignoring independent expert opinions and the fair and reasonable test and the rest of the theatre created by the JSE listings requirements. The offer does seem light from a valuation perspective for a tech IT-related business. What's your take on that?
Well, obviously, Justin, this offer's come in on the back of the unsolicited offer, and in that circumstance, and we were trading at just over R1 only a year ago or so. So I think that, one must look at it against that backdrop. One must also look at the fair value range, identified by the Notice Capital expert, was between R7 and R9.09. So it is at the bottom of the range. Naturally, a buyer would want to get the best deal possible. We are the same when we make acquisitions. Astute buyers will look at the market and say, what can we buy this asset for? Having said that, our shareholders did approve of the scheme of arrangement and supported it with a vote of 87%. So there's clearly support for the transaction. Shareholders have yet to make their elections. We're still in the process of fulfilling the regulatory requirements, which includes 5 countries in which we need Competition Commission approval, the predominant and main one being the South African Competition Commission. And on that, through our advisors, we have had very constructive engagement with the South African Comcom. We hope that we will get that result within the month of October. We have 2 of the 4 other African country approvals, and with the rest of the conditions precedent, we're in the process of fulfilling. Once we have all those conditions fulfilled, we will put the timetable to shareholders to finalise their elections, and then we will know the outcome. Of course, Volaris needs to get a controlling stake if it's going to proceed with the deal. By all accounts, we think that will be the case when shareholders finally make their elections.
If the Volaris offer is finalised, will Adapt IT be decentralised, or rather put differently, what will the new Adapt IT look like?
Well, we'll be delisted from the JSE because Volaris has a holding company that's listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. That's Constellation Software Inc. And we would, the Constellation Group and the Volaris Group run a federated model. They have hundreds of software companies globally. So Adapt IT will keep its brand, keep its leadership, and continue to trade in the market as it has under a very similar strategy. So Volaris identified us as a company that had an excellent fit with their strategy. We have been acquisitive since 2006, and the nature of the kind of software businesses we invest in is very much in line with their strategy. So that's how they identified the fit with us, and we will very much be pursuing the same strategy going forward.
All things considered, Tiffany, this must have been one of the most challenging years of your career, having to take over a company at the time you did during a heated, hostile takeover. How have you managed all of this?
Justin, I think, interestingly, I've had that question today. I think technology is phenomenal, the platform that it has allowed us, to transact business on. And I think that's been brought to the fore through everyone's experience of working from home with COVID. Similarly, companies have relied upon their digital platforms to continue with their business. So in actual fact, spending less time on aeroplanes and traveling and more time connecting has actually been quite effective. Most multinational companies now transact most business electronically, or on the kind of platforms we're on now, and certainly that's the norm. And we've spent hundreds of hours of meetings with colleagues and with the Volaris Group, and there's no impediment to getting the work done. So I think if anything, we probably work a bit much now that we have all these tools. We're able to make ourselves accessible many hours of the day. So it has been certainly a very intense period. We are pleased to put these results down and put the bulk of the work in the corporate actions behind us. So we're really excited to look forward to focusing again on our products, our customers, and our markets, and again getting the corporate action completed. And we're really much looking forward to resuming our acquisitive strategy in particular.
I'm Justin Roberts of BizNews, and you've been listening to CEO of Adapt IT, Tiffany Dunsdon.